Welcome to Max on Deck. It is Wednesday. We're here tonight. Our guest is Summit Cables. Aurora himself
Hi,
is here.
I'm Chris, aka Summit Cables. I make artisan cables, but I'm also a keyboard enthusiast. I spent a lot of time in the hobby, probably 2 to 3 years. So I've seen a lot of stuff, and
And then, as always, co-host Chewy. How you doing?
Hello. I'm a little tired. A little
Understandable.
tired. We were, I stayed up late and I had to get up pretty early last night. It was I couldn't get to sleep. I had a lot of adrenaline from last night's stream. It was a fun stream. So found out that the guy that won will be able to hand deliver it to him.
Really?
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
So I was like, hey, we're just gonna meet up because I would much rather spend 45 minutes of my day than risk USPS or UPS.
Damaging the board.
yeah. UPS is. I feel like UPS and FedEx are for industrial. I don't think you should ship keyboards for them. And, I'm not saying anything against UPS, but I've seen a few horror stories.
Guys, you heard it here first. Summit Cables hates UPS.
Ah.
You can go like the Project Keyboard route, like they did with the Kepler, and just ship everything with a Pelican case.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
It's
but,
pretty
I
nice.
respect it. I
Yeah.
respect it a lot.
I mean, it was an expensive board. It's got to come with an expensive case.
We threw the board through your window, but don't worry, it's fine.
Yeah, I ship everything through USPS because I feel like it's good rates, but for international, if you're doing anything international, always use UPS. UPS International is great. Very cheap, very nice.
Already learning something.
Yeah.
Coming in hot with the tips in the first 5 minutes.
Pro tips, guys.
I've shipped a lot of keyboards, probably 150.
Oh wow.
Jeez.
Yeah, I've done a lot. The thing is about USPS is their rates on priority for international. I think it's like a fixed rate of like $59. But if you take it to UPS and use your own box, you can get it down to like 20 to 30 to 40, depending on the weight and size of the box. But yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, it's really
not bad at all. So, but yeah, we are continuing with our interviews. I know we had talked about a month ago about having you on the show.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Glad to have you on. Real quick, we will be doing the Zap cable giveaway at the didn't really plan this one 100%. But for the Twitch emote contest. So if you are watching us and you want to throw up some Photoshop and work on some emotes, we'll be announcing that later, and we will go through those at the end. We have not discussed this at all of what we're going to pick. So it'll be interesting to see what we pick.
Yeah. I was about to say, we didn't really talk about that.
So you'll get to see you'll get to see an actual live debate on what our preferences. So, but quick shout out to our sponsors, switchmod.net. You can go to switchmod.net/mexondeck for 4% off all your lubey goodness. You get springs, lube, switches, all that good stuff from him. We just had Krelbit last week. He's a fun guy.
Krelbit's good. He's a good guy.
Krelbit's a fun dude.
He's funny.
He's fun to debate with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a fun guy to just have a casual argument with. So, our next sponsor is Zap Cables. If you want to get a DIY set and learn how to build it, we have a video that we posted about that, and he's got cable runs. He's opening up more and more cable runs, and like we said, we have the giveaway coming soon, coming at the end of the stream. So check out Zap Cables as well as Summit Cables. There's cables for days.
Cables for days. Zap's not the only place.
Yeah, I support all vendors. There's a lot of upcoming cable makers and stuff, and as the community is growing, more and more vendors get involved. and I personally think that's a good thing.
Plus competition breeds
Yeah,
innovation.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. And then last but not least, Dixie Mech. He's actually on last night for the solder talk segment.
Solder
as
talk.
we've dubbed it. You can head on over to mexondeck.dixiemech.com to pick up 8008 or 9009 when that launches next month. If you were one of the 72 that got canceled today, I'm sorry. If you were one of the 20 that got the Bauer, congratulations. But yeah, so
that's a tough
Dixie
situation.
Yeah.
Send him some love. Go to his Discord. Just tell him you love him. Tell him you support him. Because
I
he
heard
probably
the
needs it today.
I heard there's an issue with his Shopify where he like took like 92 orders or something like
He
that.
basically the Shopify didn't cancel it at 20.
All right.
And so
Yeah,
72 people were not happy. I mean, rightfully so. If you think you got something and then like they have a right to be angry, but you don't, but understand that you didn't lose any money. And, unfortunately it happens. We live in an imperfect world. So, but to those of you who support Dixie Mech, go show him some love. He could use it today.
Yeah.
Mental health is a big thing, guys.
yeah. His first design keyboard is really cool.
Yeah.
I really like it. I like the fact that he's only offering dual tone. It's more unique in my opinion. And the fact that it's isolated. I think it's isolated, you guys see it?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's
isolated. Yeah, it's definitely cool. Definitely a cool board at a pretty good price too, in my opinion. It's hard to manufacture that stuff.
Yeah, especially
and on a small scale like that.
That's what I was gonna say. The small scale, only 50 units total. It's pretty nice. Feel bad for him though. My first thought when I saw the post, I was like, "Oh man, I feel so bad for him." Because last night on the stream, he was telling Chewy, he was like, "I just want to make sure everything's good." He's like, "But I have this feeling that I'm missing something, that something's gonna go wrong." And what do you know, it did. But he did a good job of catching it. I will say, if you were one of those 72, it would have been a lot worse if it was like a couple weeks later and he's just like, "Oh, crap.
Oops.
Whoops."
Yeah.
That would have been rough, especially if you pick that over something else and then the other thing like got canceled.
Yeah, I think the way the community is growing right now, there's going to be more and more raffles instead of first come first serve. Because the way, my humble opinion, nothing against TGR or anything, but the way the Jane V2CE was like handled, like how it was like pre-formed, like pre-filled form, and it's just like kind of RNG that you click it fast enough in 0.2 seconds to get the keyboard. I thought that was like super sloppy, like a fast way just to do it.
And it cuts people off of time zones and all that. That's just.
Well, to be fair, like when he tried to do the form first, the form kept on crashing, so he had to do it that way. But I just feel like all like big keyboard makers like Keycap, TGR, all of them should just do raffles for now.
Yeah.
And maybe Vic Ray. I don't know.
Yeah, the auctions are being more popular. I don't know. Yeah. We'll see. I think properly do the auctions, you have to do the you have to have the board already. I feel like if you auction off a spot at a board that doesn't exist yet, I don't know. To me, it just seems a little bit less where it would be, but it doesn't seem as good.
Yeah, I agree with that fully. I think a lot of people are against Vic, but I feel like the community is probably going to warm up to it over time. I think, auctioning off keyboards is kind of weird, but it's nothing new in like enthusiast communities. People do it in the shoe community and the watch. I don't think I've seen it in the watch community, but it's probably happened. Who knows?
Yeah, we're in such a rapid growth, and there are not enough vendors and not enough boards to keep up with that growth. And then, for every 100 people that come in, you have, a handful of people who've got plenty of money to spend and who are looking to get the next best thing. And we'll go into this in a little bit, but having a TGR board makes you a part of that little special club of, hey, I own a TGR board.
Yeah.
And that is, we'll get to more on that later.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. We'll get started with our typical fast 4 kind of questions that we do. So what are your top 3 switches?
Number one, that's a hard one. Number one is probably, if it's a cherry-picked vintage black, sure. But I think overall, Gateron inks are more consistent and better right now. Number two, that's hard. All my boards are linear, basically. I'm not a fan of tactiles or silence. I think Gateron ink, maybe, or Brasilios. Not because I like silence, but because I like the concept of it. The fact that there's a silent switch, how when you press it down, it's silent. I think that's a pretty cool thing. And number 3 is probably Holy Pandas. I think they're a good addition to the community. I think they're too tactile for me, personally, because they're like bubble wrap. I prefer like a smaller tactile. So I'd probably either Vent Browns or Holy Pandas, for sure.
Nice. So you are, for those who don't know, you are I would go as far as to say a collector of sorts. Lots of nice keyboards. So what are your, let's say, top 3 that you have built?
Ooh. Number 1's probably Matrix 8XV 2.0. It's very unique. Very unique. The thing about the Matrix that's really difficult is the cable. And this is going to sound crazy, but 15-20% of why I kind of started cable making was to make the cable for the Matrix board. Yeah, because I really don't trust shipping my little brass piece, because the way you have to build the Matrix cable is you need a little brass piece and a gist connector, but I don't really trust shipping that overseas because of the tariffs and how it can potentially get lost. So I kind of digged around and really started researching how to build the cable for it, and eventually I learned how, and now I offer it. Like currently right now I'm building 4 Matrix cables for people.
Wow.
Sink or swim. I like it.
Yeah. Number 2 is probably QXP. Yeah, that's a weird one because I've built a lot of keyboards, probably 150 by now, maybe 150, 200. Yeah, I've before I started cable making, I was a builder. I built keyboards for people, but the reason I like the QXP so much is because it just has such a weird sound to it. Like, it's not even heavy either. Like, it has like a brass weight, but it's like not heavy at all. And the sound of it is just so crisp and nice, and it really kind of threw me back. Like, I don't know why it sounds that good. It's a weird sound signature. It reminds me of nothing. Like, some keyboards will have like kind of a similar sound signature as another one. Like my Zeno kind of sounds like the Jane CE, the original one, or my Polysigna will sound like my 910. But the QXP is just off in its own world. It's just weird. I don't know. I think it's really cool. And the third one, probably Jane V2. Jane V2 was dope. Yeah, Jane V2 was great. The overall build quality was insane. It really feels seamless, similar to like the OTD boards. I've never built an OTD, but it feels really similar to how they don't have like a seam on them, so to speak. It's mostly because of the design and how he did it. There's like little blockers on the side that kind of lines it perfectly. But yeah, you can get it to feel pretty much seamless, and that takes a lot of knowledge and build, designing to really do that. And that's probably my third. Yeah.
Yeah, and you got the QXP pretty recently, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I got it like 4 or 5 months ago. Maybe 3, 4 or 5 months ago. Yeah, probably 3 or 4. And I really love this board. I think it's great. I really do. It's so simple. It's just straight to the point. It has a low angle. It's not tall. It's not like duck angle where it's 11 degrees. Yeah, no, I don't think many people like the duck angle. That's probably why a lot of people sell their Vipers and their Eagles. But yeah, I actually really like this angle. To me, it's tiny bit too steep, or not too steep, but too
shallow.
Too shallow, yeah. But yeah.
Nice. Real quick, shout out to Mio. This is just once again Chewy's chance to mess up everyone's name. Generic Panda, the Aaron Law, sure. Ikta or LKTA, Rage, Big Boil Indy, or Big Boy Indy. Big Boy, I added an extra letter in there. CDCSGO and Kowfi. Yep, those are letters. Thank you for the follows.
Oh man. Yeah.
It's even better when you have dyslexia and there's like 5 different L's and I's in a row. Just like
they mix
sure.
the L, capital L, or lowercase L, capital I.
Yep.
Really throw you off.
The way I do dyslexia is I combine words together, which is weird. So like I'll say like Bluetooth, but I'll just say like bloof or something. Like it's weird. I don't know. My brain does that sometimes. I find that weird.
It happens.
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah.
So, you have a lot of boards, which means you probably have a lot of keycap sets. So, what are your top three keycap sets that you have?
Number 1, 3100 SAV or SAV. It is a OG cherry Russian set. I really like it. Has a really nice feel. Has R5 blockers. So R5 basically just means that the bottom row right here is taller. Actually, I have my 910 over there. I'll grab it later and show you. But my that's R5 row. It's basically a little bit taller. My second, probably. I have all of them right there.
He's looking at his shelf.
Yeah, I have all of them right there, all labeled. Probably Modern Dolch. Yeah, Modern Dolch and probably Desco. I really like Desco. Yeah.
They're saying show us the shelf.
The shelf. Yeah, it's just a giant shelf and it's all labeled. I don't know if you can see it up there. See that?
There it is.
Oh, okay.
Oof. Actually, I'm like those are probably the same little drawers that I have.
Yeah.
So, Schwerv, thank you for the follow. We'll sprinkle in a little non-keyboard stuff. Some of your favorite foods.
Favorite foods.
Top
Lasagna.
3.
Lasagna. Sushi.
And sushi lasagna.
It's a weird one. I think everyone likes lasagna and sushi. Probably just ice cream.
There you go.
I don't think that's like a classy thing to say, but I really
hey
like
man,
ice cream.
you could literally come and be like hamburgers, fries, and
Yeah, hamburgers are too filling for me. I hate cake too. I hate cake and pie because it's like too rich. I don't know.
I feel that there's definitely some cakes that I've had where I'm just like, this is great, but every bite is like insane.
Yeah, when you get that like super overly chocolate, like the flourless chocolate cakes where you're like, I ate 2 bites and I'm done. Like I don't want any more.
Yeah.
So, and sushi's so interesting because so many people are hesitant to try it. Because, I mean, it is kind of a weird concept when you grow up and you're like, make sure you cook everything. And then they're like, I don't want to try sushi. And then like 6 months later, you're like, I'm going to force feed you this sushi. And they're like, this is the greatest thing ever. And I don't know why I've never eaten it before.
Yeah. Sushi, well, how it works is they flash freeze it and it kills all the parasites. But they're still in the sushi, so you're eating dead parasites.
Get those dead parasites, babe, man.
You know
Extra
what?
protein.
It tastes
I don't
good.
know. There's some time there. Yeah, I don't know. It's like I think Jim Gaffigan has that joke. He's like, "Do you know what they do to those chickens?" He's like, "I don't know, but it's delicious."
Yeah, chicken nugget. Yep.
It's like so you mentioned that 20 to 30% of the reason you started Summit Cables was for the Matrix board. Can you tell us about the other 70 to 80%?
All right. That's I really like hobbies. I have a lot of hobbies. I like DIY stuff a lot too. Um, I was building keyboards. You know, I'm into headphones. I have DACs and amps. I'm into photography. I'm into music. I have a lot of hobbies, probably like 20 or 30. And I felt like I could innovate and improve on the cable hobby. I feel
Mhm.
like there's a lot of stuff to offer, and some of it is just really, really hard to. I don't know. I feel like it's hard to create an idea. Like, how can I make a custom artisan cable better? Right?
Mhm.
And I had a few ideas in my head. So before I started Summit Cables, I made about 80 to 90 prototypes. A lot of prototypes because I wanted them to be perfect before I started up
Mhm.
the brand, you know, Summit Cables. And I really, really innovated, and I really liked the idea of colored detachables. So I ran and, you know, talked to a few people and basically obtained colored detachables, and we're on to some new things, but that's a secret for now. But yeah, it's going to be great.
Nice. Well, I mean, innovations. That's how we're gonna grow. That's
Oh
how.
yeah.
That's. I mean, that's. We were kind of talking about that before, but it's like, you know, we need more vendors. We need more competition because then the current vendors are going to step up their game, and
Yeah.
then that's going to cause the new people to go, okay, well now I have to reach even further. And as a consumer, that's where you just lick your lips and go, haha, they're doing all the work, benefit from their
Yeah.
hard work.
Yeah, there's been a lot of innovation recently. Like I remember back in like I'm reading old articles of keyboards back in the day, and I remember like ergo clears were like the thing. Like ergo clears and like a Leopold, or you know, just old customs, and that was the norm. But now it's shifted from so much. Like we discovered Crytox lube. Now you get Keycolt doing like the leaf design and the isolated so it bends more. Like that's just genius. That was honestly such a genius idea. And how the Polaris has like a cutout in the middle of the PCB to increase more flex.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's nobody's thought of that until like recently. That's just such a good idea. And you know, I'm a guy for aesthetics. I like nice things. I like when things look really nice. I'm also photogenic, so everything has to look nice. And I felt like cables were too stale, just too stale. And I really wanted to spice them up a bit, offer a ton of colors, a ton of colored detachables, and now we're here, and I'm really happy about the small community I created and all my supporters and my fans and you
Mm-hmm.
know people.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of those things, it's like cables are are a market right now where no matter what, it doesn't seem like the supply meets the demand. Like every time I see someone open a cable run, doesn't matter who it is, it's gone like in 5 minutes max. Like
It's really, really, really a lot of work to make a cable. Like it
Mm-hmm.
is really, really daunting and very difficult. There's a lot of things you need to figure out for yourself. There's no written guide. You really, it's really trial and error, just like with keyboard building, you know. But keyboard building's been around for a really long time, and I just really like making cables. It's
Mm-hmm.
my main hobby right now for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, just in the last 6 months, I'd say, I remember I hit you up because you posted something where it was like, hey, I'm making cables, so I'm taking orders. And I was like, hey, by the way, like if you want me to give you like a shout out or whatever, like we can talk about it on stream or on the video. And back then, you know, this is, I guess, I don't know the exact date of when you started, but if I'm, you know, or at least
Oh,
started like
April
really
1st,
opening
I think.
April 1st. Okay, so that's
Yeah.
literally 2 days before our first video went live. So
Wow. Yeah, that's
so
really insane.
so
That's
you
insane.
know, growing together, as Brian from Talk Like has said. So watching you go from you hitting me up like in early May being like, hey, can you go upvote this post, and can you, like, I'm trying to get this cable company going, to now it's like, hey guys, I'm doing this cable run. Okay, the cable run's already full. like
Our
just
first,
in that short amount of time, it's awesome to see.
yeah. When we first started making cables, whenever I do a drop, I want to offer everything at once. Just a couple months ago, we were only offering colored detachables, but I felt like that was a mistake because not everyone wants a colored detachable. Some people want silver. Some people don't even want a detachable. And I think it's really good that we offer every single type of cable in one drop. Because some people just need a simple 3-foot cable, and I'm perfectly okay with that. It's a lot more extra work. It's a lot more organization. But I feel like I can handle it. So that's why we've been doing it for now on.
Mm-hmm.
So are you kind of you're a one man project right now? Like you're solo?
Yep, solo. Yep.
So about how large do you like what's your cap per run? I'm like, how many cables?
50.
50.
Yeah, but all extra ends too. Extra ends are like an extra cable. So it's around 60, and I work probably 14 to 13 hours a day, roughly.
Jeez.
Yeah, if you knew some of my personal friends, I'm always up at like really late just making cables in my workshop, and it's definitely a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
I sometimes get, maybe a helper every other month, maybe. Yep.
As soon as you can. Well, it's good to be busy though. I mean, like I said, if we're talking, April 1st was what? So that's April, May, June, July, and here we are in August. So that's 4.5 months, and you're selling out spots quick. Like that's well done. That's all I can say. Like
Thank
really,
you.
like I
Thank
know
you.
it's strange to me though that like Eric and I have Osiris and I have talked about this a lot. Where it's like, okay, if we look at our mechanical keyboards, there's what, like 400,000 people on there, but like realistically, you know, how many of those people are actually buying cables, and how there's so many different places you can get cables, and it's like almost impossible to get them at this point.
I really
And
like opening up every week. I try my best to. I want to open up every week on Saturday, every time. Sometimes there's a little hiccups. Like a week ago, I get injured by getting hit by a car, so I had to take a couple days off. And
That's a fun
so
time.
I that messed up the queue a little bit. So I had to take 2 weeks on the queue instead, because I don't want to open up on like a random day like Monday or Tuesday. So I just kind of took a few days off and relaxed and really brainstormed about more ideas. We actually have a couple more colors of detachables coming in that are going to be very exciting. Very exciting. But yeah, the hardest thing, in my opinion, about running Summit cables is order changes. I think I don't mind them, but like, there's some times where we're like 5 days in, and someone wants an order change, and I have to go right up there on the whiteboard over there. I don't know if you can see that whiteboard.
Yeah.
I have to go right on the whiteboard their invoice number and what they want and the change, because you can't just change it on the invoice. Once the invoice is done and over with, that's it. So sometimes you get people that are like changing their different links, and you have to refund them, then write down the new order, then update everything. I have to type out all the invoices by hand because I don't have a website right now. I run everything off Google Forms. So I have to type out every invoice by hand. And I also have to write every single order by hand on a sheet. And I print that out and I just read it off when I do it. And every time I'm done, I check it. And I go for a rigorous QC process to make sure there's no mess ups in orders. But sometimes factory defects are a thing. No matter how much I test them, they'll just slip through. So, yeah. That's just the vendor life.
Yeah.
But I love it. I really love it. I really do.
It's good to stay busy.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah. Droke, let's see. Could you ask Summit Cables if he could show off his Corsa?
Yeah, man.
We could do a keyboard show off here in a few. We can do it now, or if you're doing a little bit, we can.
Yeah, funny story. Okay, so it's not troll. I bought a OTD Corsa, and the guy who shipped it, it apparently got lost in transit. And I was actually talking to another guy, and that same guy talked to that guy, and he apparently shipped a whale, and that whale actually got dented in shipping somehow. Oof. So I mean, I'm suspecting this guy's like a bad apple in the community or something, but I did get full refunded, and I'm now looking for another Corsa because I don't have a Corsa. Yeah.
Well, that's an unfortunate story, but we know you
Yeah.
do have quite a collection of some pretty nice keyboards. Um, I will say I actually have a Summit cable right here that you made for Chewy that has been graciously given to me because it matches my Hyperfuse Origins.
Oh,
It's
nice.
quite
Yeah.
fancy.
I
And
realized after a while, I just wasn't a fan of coils.
Not everyone is.
Yep.
Even now, like, uh,
Yep.
I have two of my own cables because I'm so busy I can't even make my own cables. I have this one and a black coil one, and this one I just use with my red QXP.
Yep.
Matches perfectly, and that's about it.
so I know we had this when we were building our cables a couple months back. Do you have the issue sometimes with the paracord being way too tight on the USB?
Yeah, yeah. It really depends. There is a lot of little insider hobby secret tricks, the way to get it on faster. I do it really primitively. I just string it on.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
kind
but
of what we did. What
you
we
know,
did.
yeah. After stringing them for a long time, your hands do get really sore, and you have to crack your knuckles and get them loose again. Do it. Yeah.
That
Yeah,
was
we that first time was terrible, just god awful. And then I built 3 more, and in less time than I sleeved the first one, I was able to sleeve the other 3 because like you just kind of figure it out, and then it's like once you get it down, it's like, oh, okay, it's like less is more almost. It's like, okay, I've got this. It's just like it stinks because it's just kind of time consuming. But like I
Yeah.
was just sitting there watching TV, but it's like it's going, but I can't, it's not like, you just have to keep going.
Yeah, I remember when the first cable I did, I couldn't even sleeve it. It took like 2 hours. Because I was doing it wrong. I never sleeved anything in my life. Like maybe a string for my hoodie or something. But the way you do it is really primitive. I didn't look up any guides. I didn't watch anyone do it. I just kind of like winged it and figured it out myself because I wanted my own style and my own way to do it. So that's how I figured it out.
Trial by error.
Yep.
So, so we had, if you guys are unaware, Summit, he's very active on our Discord as well. We've talked about this before, and we talked a few weeks ago about elitism in the community, and it can be, it's an interesting concept because at the end of the day, we're talking about a very niche hobby and pieces of plastic and metal that are colorful. And I know, there is, I mean, no, I don't think any hobby other than, maybe giving each other the softest high fives are, is really a, unable to stray away from having this kind of elitism. But it's here, and we've, I remember when Osiris and I guess first really brainstormed the idea of Mechs on Deck back in November. We were talking about how like, oh, the one thing that we don't want to perpetuate or do anything is continue this potential of now that there are a lot more people. I think it has slowed down a little bit in this kind of recent 6 to 8 month growth. But there is, it's unfortunate, but and there are people that are definitely more, what's the word, appropriate in the way that they handle themselves than
Yeah.
others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, also, if I ever am coming across if someone is elitist, just freaking call me out on it.
I was in my early days of the hobby. I was definitely an elitist in my opinion. I really liked the people who had one keyless keyboards because everyone had one keyless keyboards, and I liked the idea of customs. But the more and more I delved into the sub hobby of the keyboard genre, where there's like it kind of reminds me of like what's the word? Uh, there's like a lower ground, a mid ground, and a super high tier. and there's kind of like a blurred line between mid tier and high tier where they're kind of the same but not really. And a lot of people could just get the high tier for bragging rights. And I completely understand that. It's the same in a lot of communities. A lot of people get really nice watches. People get really nice cameras, but that's usually for work. But some people just buy cameras, take a couple pictures, and they just put it away, right? And there are people like that in the hobby, but in the keyboard hobby, it's more prevalent. Like it's more of like a community, like a small community. And I don't want to say anything because I never had an OTD or anything before, but I've heard that the Matrix is exactly like the Corsa, and I just want to see it for myself because I have a Matrix and I really want to compare it to the Corsa and see if it's exactly the same. Because why would I pay 3,500 for a Corsa when I can just pay 1,000 for a Matrix, right? Is it bragging rights, or are you getting it for the history of the community? Are you just getting it as a collector? There's a lot of ways to get things as just a keyboard. I don't get keyboards specifically for the clout or the recognition. I get them more so to experience a creator's design, because I really like TGR and I like the way he designs keyboards. And I really like Keycap too, and I'm really happy to get into that latest buy. I'm really, really happy about that. So.
Oh, really? I didn't know you got I didn't know you got in on the raffle.
Yeah, I won the raffle. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's definitely some people who just buy it just to have the name and are not necessarily invested in or understand the nuances that make those boards what they are. Like before, when we were talking about before we started talking about like anodization, things like that, design, materials, small things like the Bauer having the symmetrical wind keyless layout on a 65% that hadn't been done before. Like little things like that really innovate things in a small way. Those nuances can really change a lot, and that's what I wish more people would be focused on rather than the name on the board.
Yeah, especially in the community, I think there's a lot of gatekeeping. Gatekeeping is a very good word to use here. Yep. I feel like you're just not welcome in the community if you don't have a lot of good boards. You're just not welcomed at all. Like if you don't have a Matrix, a TGR, or whatever, you're not welcome in some kind of small community. Like you just don't know anything because you never felt them. And I feel like it makes sense. It does make sense. But I feel like it's just such a bad way to do things, in my opinion. Especially like, no harm to the Reddit custom keyboards or anything, but a lot of people on there post stuff, and I used to be one of those people. I remember posting my Kmac Happy on there saying like nice tofu or whatever, but it's like, to the newer people, it's really hard to welcome them and give them information and how to do what board to get, what is good, what is not snake oil, like the whole whale R2 thing where it's all snake oil and it's actually not that good, and a lot of them are just beat up, and a lot of Korean people are just trying to off them in the Western market, and I feel like that's just really bad. Like it's just disgusting. I don't know. That's probably a bad thing to say on stream, but I really do. I think it's disgusting personally. I do.
I mean, I remember saying the exact word because I don't remember what, but like we had just like a bro night, and it was our mod Willio, Eric, and I remember this. I don't know if you remember this night, but I remember it almost like I could tell you every single conversation we had that night. And I remember saying the exact, because we were on Mech Market, and that was actually the same night that you found the Orange 75. And I remember saying the words, if we do this, no one's going to take us seriously because all we have are like KBD fans boards and all that. And to an extent, yes, I get what you're saying. Like it makes 100% sense that how could somebody go around saying this is great, this is not great, this is exactly what we're looking for if you haven't tried them. And unfortunately at a meetup you can't give a board a 100% look until you've had it for a week or two, or if you've tried it with different switches, or at the end of the day, if you get a Jane V2 and you put inks in it, the only thing you know about the Jane V2 is that you either like or dislike the layout and like or dislike the feel of a Jane V2 with whatever plate that you have. and ink switches in it.
Yeah.
And so it's just tough to, consider yourself, an expert or whatever. And there are few experts in this world because not everybody can try everything.
Yep.
And, but I remember saying the words, it was like, we're not going to get taken seriously unless we have at least like one nice board, because then people are going to be like, what's this guy talking about? He's just got a tofu.
To the guy in the chat who said totally felt that way when buying a tofu. Tofu's fun.
Tofu's
Perfectly
great.
fine.
I have
Tofu's
one.
great.
Everyone has their own path. Like, and that's the thing that we were big on is like, if you want to start a TGR, start a TGR. Cool. If you got that money and you want to just go full head first, dive in, do it. But everyone has their own path. If you want to start on like a KBD fans and move your way up to something like, like a Fox Lab board that's in the mid, or like a Polaris or something that's like kind of like that low mid range, and then go up to something like maybe it's a little bit nicer, and then get into like TGR, or just sit in that, kind of mid range that's just like super variable. There are boards that are $300 that feel better than boards that are $600. It's just kind of a toss up.
I built a lot of tofus. Sorry to interrupt you. But,
no, you're good.
Tofu is great. I've built probably 10, 15 of them, and same with the KBD 75. I think they're great boards. If you're just looking for, a board that just does everything right, it feels nice, it types nice, it looks nice, that's fine. It's okay. You're okay for having a tofu. If you want to get into the enthusiast world, because there is enthusiast stuff, just like in PC parts, there's, an enthusiast graphics card, there's a, mid-range, everything has a row and a level. TGR is great, but I've felt boards that are better at a lower price. Like example is the Matrix. Matrix beats the TGR 910 in terms of feel and sound for me, because the entire community is all opinion.
Yep.
Everything's opinion. Everything is opinion. If a switch doesn't feel good to you, that's your opinion. If the board doesn't look good to you, that's your opinion. Unless it's some weird like
unless it's a Greetech red switch.
Yeah, if it's like if you're using pudding caps in an An Pro, please stop copying. Be original. All right, I love originality. Okay, originality's great.
Yeah, I saw some people that were like, I think it was in I can't remember which Discord it was in, but they were like, they're like, man, I can't believe this freaking Ducky 1-2 Mini is above me on our mechanical keyboards.
Yeah.
And it had gotten like 1,200 upvotes while theirs had like 400.
Yeah, it appeals to a lot of people because a lot of people have that board. A lot of people are going to upload it like, hey, that's my board. Maybe I should upload it because, it's my board and I can relate to it. That's fine. But I was really happy to see that there was a KMAC Happy on the top of the board recently, which is cool. That's a really nice board, by the way. Really nice.
Yeah. But you definitely touched on something, which is like what I stress. I know Cyrus stresses. I'm sure Summit stresses is find what's right for you, because just because someone else likes it doesn't mean, I'll use this as an example, and I'm not, by no means am I hating on it, but if Nathan Kim says something is great, that does not mean that it is great. That means Nathan Kim thinks it's great.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now I will say there's probably a good chance that what Nathan Kim says is solid, but it might not be for you. I've owned many boards. I've typed on many boards. I always find myself going back to the TX60. Like, I can't stress enough how awesome that board is, and whenever I hear about different mounting types and different this and that or whatever, I'm like, I know, but I know what I want. I know exactly what I want. And if it doesn't, like I had the Zephyr, and a lot of people love their Zephyr. I could not stand my Zephyr. I hated about every second of me owning that board, other than taking cool pictures of it. I just was like, I don't like this at all. And a lot of people love Zephyrs, and a lot of people, I took that to a meetup, and if I had not voted for someone else's board instead of my own board, it would have like won the, most popular board of the meetup, because people like the fancy, the shiny, the bling. It also had GMK muted on it, which people like muted. But just because I just couldn't stand it, and then I sold it and it went right back to the TX60. I sold it and took that money to buy another TX60.
Yeah. Yes, too.
Hey, if it works for you, it works for you. You know, like I had a TX65. I felt like vent blacks were just too stiff. Like it was too harsh of a bottom out because it's sandwich brass. It was just not my style. I really like alu and carbon fiber top mount, but you know everyone's different. I actually, as an experiment, I built the same 6 boards with the same switches, and I tried to figure out what I like the most. And it turns out that I like alu and CF top mount the best. I feel like brass is just too harsh and too tangy. I just don't like it personally. Which is my opinion.
Which is funny because I like brass and stainless steel the most.
Yeah.
The exact opposite.
Yeah, I mean that's why I like the. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say if I could have a TX60 with a stainless steel plate, I would. I just don't want to go spend the effort and money to go get a stainless steel plate made for it.
Yeah, I personally think stainless steel is bad. Like, yeah, it's just my opinion though. You know, I think the reason I like the Matrix so much is mostly because it's alu, alu plate, and the front angle of it is like perfect. Like it's like recessed. It's really low. It's not like the front part of the case isn't high. It's just like just the right amount. And maybe that's why a lot of people like OTD. Maybe. I don't know. I've never had one.
Maybe one day. Maybe that board will just randomly show up one day. Probably not, but
yeah.
But you know what I do think is a super underrated board is the Tina.
The Tina.
The KBD fans Tina. I had one and really, really, really liked it.
Yeah.
The only reason I got rid of it is I was making room for things and I
couldn't stand that board. However,
preference.
Plateless was great. Plateless was great. I don't know why. Maybe it's just trayless or not trayless. Wow. It's just tray plateless mount was really nice. It was.
But
really
I think the typing angle and just the bezels, the design was kind of neat and intricate. You know, it wasn't perfect. It wasn't, but once again, I wasn't paying a perfect board price for it either. So, but the tofu kind of blew that out of the water.
Yeah, the tofu came out and kind of destroyed the
need for a Tina.
Yeah, a tofu is a great board for the price. You know, not everyone has like $1 to $2 to drop on a keyboard.
Yeah.
Yep. It's definitely like I would say that's like one of the best places to start, especially in a 60%. You know, if you're looking to get into a custom board and you want to make it yourself, it's an easy build. You have different plate options. You can get a polycarb plate like the one Chewy built last night. You can get stainless, you can get brass, you can get different mounting types. You know, if you get like the HHKB or the Win keyless. So
yeah. A lot of another thing I noticed is a lot of people will refuse anything else but Win keyless, like the Matrix 2.2 versus the 2.0. 2.2 has like a weird bottom row, but the 2.0 can be or is Win keyless, and a lot of people refuse to buy the 2.0 just because it's not Win keyless. And I feel like, do you like Win keyless because everyone likes Win keyless, or do you like Win keyless because you like Win keyless?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it comes down to that. I like Win keyless because it's like a symmetrical design and it looks cool and it's very aesthetically pleasing. And I've learned to actually need the Windows key just for taking screenshots. Like if you hold down Windows key S or Windows key Shift S, I think you can like take a screenshot and it's really easy, way easier than Share X. So
at least 20 people just took a screenshot.
Yeah, right.
Post those screenshots in the chat.
It's a nice function. It really is. It's a great one. Yeah. Windows key Shift S. It's so fast. It's just done. You just Control V.
Yeah.
I don't know how to map it. I don't know how.
I know Magic. No, he knows. I forgot what the program is, but I know he knows how to map it. Kofi is asking, how's the KBD 75?
I've built so many of those.
That's like the board that made KBD fans. Like that was the breakthrough.
I liked I liked mine. The only reason I got rid of mine is I screwed up the PCB, and I was like, I could sell this for relatively a decent amount of my money back. Like, and I sold it to a local guy, and like told him, I was like, hey, this is like ruined. And it had broken GM or SA lime from box stems.
Ugh.
And so it was just like, it was the perfect storm of being like, I just need to get some sort of money back for this. And
if I build another KBD 75, I can't. I refuse. I built like 15 of them. I can't take it anymore. It's so boring. It's just the same thing over and over again.
Lots of switches.
And the screws aren't even magnetic, so it's like you gotta like hold them in there and go and just.
No, I got hex screws a long time ago, back when I had a lot of boards that were tray mount, and because of that, because I was just like, nothing feels worse than when you're on the last screw and it just goes right into the PCB.
Yeah. I just can't. It's more so I don't hate keyboard building per se. I just hate building that specific type of layout in keyboard because I've done it like 15 times, and to me it's just like the same thing over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And when you build like something as different as the Matrix or the QXP, or when you get some weird keyboard with a daughter board or a key colt, like they're all really, really different. But when you build the same exact keyboard over and over again, it's just like,
yeah.
Well, and the KBD 75, it's not like some of the other stuff where the like PCB has had a ton of revisions at this point. Like it's still using the same kind of PCB that it's been using for a while, and it's really not. It's not the greatest PCB in the world. Like it works and it gets the job done, but there's a big difference between that and even something like the DZ60 that's been revised over and over and over again, and is at a point now where it's like pretty freaking good for the price.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I got a question for you guys. I got a question with, what do you think is the 3 best innovations in the community? You can answer first. I'll answer after.
3 best and this is
In
entirely in general.
Yeah. Like my number 1 is like QMK. That's a good example. Yeah. It's a hard one.
That is a tough one.
It is hard.
Yep.
This isn't really as much of an innovation as it is, I guess, just like a part of our community that has grown. But the amount of vendors that we have has grown, I mean, 3 times over since I've joined. And, it's not really an innovation, but we're seeing more and more people who are able to make, sorry, I just got a notification on my phone saying that we went live 1 hour after I'm looking, it says we've been on live for an hour, 2 minutes. Anyway, but when I kind of started, the only place really to go was KBD Fans, and then Novel Keys was just starting out, but they didn't have nearly the stock that they had. And other than that, it was group buys and stuff like that. But now you've got Dixie. Dixie was a thing, but he was just doing group buys. But you've got like Dixie. You've got Cannon Keys recently is really starting to shake things up in a good way. Cables for days. Just there's so many different options now that I think that's probably been the best thing to me, innovative wise, is how we as a community have been support these. People are taking risks and they're paying off.
Yeah.
And that kind of movement in the right direction is amazing.
Yeah. In my opinion, number 1 is QMK by far. QMK changed a lot of things about what you require in a keyboard. Matrix board is not QMK. So that's like a really big bummer because I use QMK a lot in my macros and everything else. And the second I would say is probably the readily available source to lube. Shoutouts to Krellbit, by the way. You could just buy lube whenever, and that's insane. Back in the day, you couldn't. You would have to like buy like multiple Crytoxes, mix them together like an alchemist. Like you would have to do a lot of things. And nowadays, it's just like you got G0 where you just buy it and it's done. You just take it out and just lube your switches. And number 3 is probably springs. Either springs or the fact that there's streamers, which create more attention to the community. There's a lot more people posting stuff. It's a really big growing community. A lot more people are getting active. A lot more people are getting active.
Yeah. I was gonna say my number one is the hot swap kind of craze. That's really been huge for getting people into it, as well as giving people who have, boards who maybe you want to have a tester board, giving you the opportunity to have something that you can really try switches out on and get the full feel of them, without having to fully commit to soldering a whole board together, because desoldering kind of sucks.
It's the
No,
worst. It's
yeah,
the absolute worst.
Yeah.
It's the worst part about this hobby.
Yeah.
I don't know what else. I agree with all those, but I'm trying to think of something that you guys haven't said yet. But I'm gonna say
gasket mounts.
gasket mounts are fine, but they're not. I mean, they're great, but we've seen now the effects. Like,
Yeah, it's
they've-
not a
it's here to stay.
Yeah.
And
well, it's not perfected yet. Like,
Yeah, and there's just that's such a different, because are you using small gaskets? Are you using gaskets like the what's it called, the why am I going blank on this, the one with the entire brass base that's like 18 pounds? What board is that?
Kepler?
Kepler, where it literally goes around the entire board. A lot of that stuff is neat, but I think like something like keycaprenders.com and the readily available people who are doing renders has been a huge impact on designers. And we're seeing more and more keycap designs. And we've talked about this, whether or not it can be good or bad. But at the end of the day, it's good because it's forcing people to work harder on their designs. And it's forcing people to be better designers and put things out that are better.
Yeah, I agree. Yep.
it allows for. Oh, sorry. Go.
I was gonna say that I think there's just too many DMK sets
There
right
is.
now. There's way too many. I'm sorry. There's way too many. People are like, yeah, this looks cool. Let's just put it up on the IC check and just like then start a GB. Like Hanged by was nothing against.
Shout out to Kralbit.
I don't even know who design. Is it even a design? What is it?
It's a we talked about it last week, but it's a it was to show off a cherry board to vendors back in the 80s for businesses so that they would go buy their keyboards.
Yeah.
So it's technically it's a historical colorway.
Yeah, it's like, this is what colors we can make in keycaps. Here's all of them in one set.
Yeah, here's just a bunch of
I
stuff.
see.
So it's
I'm happy.
At
least it was successful. It went through. So
hey,
sold
all the way through.
Hey.
He's got the shirt to prove it.
Yeah, I mean it worked. Yeah.
Can't knock it if it works, right?
Yeah.
I think about, was it GMK Oasis? Like, feel bad for the guy. It was a cool set, but that didn't make it, and Handerbart did.
Yeah.
Different time. But my thing with the amount of keycap sets that are in IC is it really allows the vendors to be like more picky with what they take and what they run, because you could still technically run one without a vendor, but I mean at this point, why would you want to? That would be a huge task to take on, and with the level of the group buys that we're having with, we haven't had a situation where a keycap set is like completely different than what the renders were in a while. It's been quite a little bit of time, just because of people are investing more time. There's more people overlooking everything, making sure things are right. I think that's one thing that's really nice about the influx is there's better design sets that are more intuitive and people are spending more time on, because they know if I just release keycaprenders.com renders and I just put it up there and just put the colorway up there, it's probably not going to get picked up. Like everyone's going to be like, oh, cool. You don't really know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So real quick, back to me failing at names. Vano Thank you for the follow. Pretty sweet name. I like the name. It's pretty sweet. It's a pretty sweet name. Thank you. Fundle Lol. That sounds bad. Choco Balls. That sounds even worse. And Stupak62. Thank you guys for the follows. Much appreciated.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So, but no, it does kind of leave you guessing like what's next. And I know that there obviously there are other ways. We're seeing the silo switches. I know people are excited about that because we are kind of stuck in this like Gatoron inks, which is funny if you went back a year and you were like, hey, by the way, Gatoron's going to make a switch that like no one's going to care about any other switch. It's only going to be Gatoron switches. I feel like a lot of people would be like, yeah, okay.
Yeah. And it's not in collaboration with Zeal.
With Zeal, it's just Gatoron's making this switch. People would be like, I think you're lying. But like we're kind of living in the Switch dream world right now. If we've got inks, we've got Telios, we've got Zelio V2s, which are awesome, and we've got every Holy Panda you can think of in multiple colors. and we're just it's great that we've seen that, but now it's kind of like, well, what's next? And I think these silo switches could shake things up.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Oh yeah, another thing that Summit Cables are doing. We're doing a cable drop with VMK Rudy.
Oh, really?
You've never seen nice. That. Yeah. If you guys haven't seen that set yet, I think it's pretty nice, personally.
It's blue and it's like a Notre Dame themed, I believe.
Yeah, it's like cream and blue.
Cream, blue, and gold.
Yeah,
we are in the golden era. Kinnick, I would like 100% agree. We are in the golden era.
Yeah. So what got you into the keyboard community? What first got you into it?
You go first because you were first.
So for me, I got in because I saw keyboards online on Reddit, which is funny because I feel like at the time I didn't even have a Reddit account. Like I was super late to the Reddit party, but I really wanted something that was smaller. So I bought it basically for gaming at home. I wanted something that was smaller because while I used my numpad in CSGO for my buy-binds, I was like, I will give that up and use the wheel so I can have something, because I like to play games at like a solid like 85-degree angle of keyboard. Like for whatever reason, I like to have my elbow on the desk, so my keyboard is like almost vertical. Super comfortable for me. Not everyone likes it. It looks super funky, but with a full-size board, my keyboard was like punching my stomach when I was playing. And so I wanted something smaller, and then I built a Tada 68, and then I got into looking into them more and more and figured out things about like GMK. I started learning about different types of switches, different materials, different types of keyboards, mounting styles, the whole 9 yards. And I was like, ooh, let's go further. Yeah. As it always is in any hobby that I drag Chewy in or he drags me into, we go super, super far.
It's like almost a mini competition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just push each other further and further.
Yeah. There's multiple kind of ways I got into the keyboard community. One of them was I was a CSGO collector. I collected a lot of skins in CSGO. I had Karambits, Dragon Lores, all of that. And I sold my collection, and I wanted to create a really nice battle station. Like, workstation, whatever you call it. There's Reddit forum, this is r/battle station, whatever. I wanted something that looked really nice, and I looked up. Well, I walked into my room and I thought, what's the first thing you see? And it's your monitor, your computer, and your keyboard. So I looked up custom keyboards, and that's how I got into custom keyboards. But what really drove me down the path of custom keyboards was I was a rhythm game player, and I wanted to find like the best switch to use. And I thought that weighting was really important. And I think Cherry MX was just slightly too heavy for me. So I looked up springs, and I found 55G springs, and I spring swapped for the first time, and yeah.
Yeah, I had like a Razer for a long time, and then I had a Cooler Master, and then I got, I had like a board with Cherry MX Reds and missed the clicky switch for a long time. And then I was like, I could, Eric's doing this thing. It'll be neat. And I had him build me a board. We talked for a long time because I was like, I wanted the aesthetic as well. And I saw SA lime, and I was like, my favorite color is green. I was like, that's amazing. I want that key set. And then I saw that he kind of told me, he's like, a lot of these things you have to get you either can get from this website, which was KBD fans, or you could join a group buy, but those take a long time. And so, but I was able to find SA Lime, and then it just kind of exploded from there. Osiris showed me 001 Anthony, and I was on his stream like every single Friday night talking to him. And
yeah,
I wound up, it was actually funny. I got, he's a good friend now because he posted on his Discord. He's like, I need help moving. And I was like, I'm free.
What?
Yeah. I was like, I'm not doing anything today, man. Sure. And so I went over and helped him move. And, I go over there and hang out with him every now and then.
It's crazy because I didn't even know that Anthony was local to us when I was like first watching him, and when I sent him to Chewy, I didn't know that he was local. So it's kind of weird how it all worked out. And yeah.
And then a bunch of boards later, he's actually the one that was like, oh, I really like TX60s and TX65s. And I was like, all right, well, I'll get a TX60. And then I got it. And
if you really like it, that's a good board. I had my TX65 for a while. I liked it mostly because it was just a solid board all around. Had a nice weight. It was a pretty okay sound. I just didn't like the feel because it's too harsh for me.
Mm-hmm.
But if it was like a top mount or something, maybe it would be better for me. But depends on your preference, really.
Someone says KBD 75 is the best ano and keyboards. Anthony
I think the best ano ever is the KBD 8X. Feels like PBT. I'm just kidding. Probably the maybe the Jane V2 is the best ano I've ever felt. Yeah, Jane V2 for sure.
When I'm at meetups, I don't really look at ano as much as more of just like how does it type. Just because also you can't really get it. I try not to go over and be like, hey, I'm just gonna pick up this $1,000 board and hold it in my hands. Hope that's okay. Like people are not 100% cool with that. So you can kind of look sometimes, but I would say the TX60 is the other. This one is an interesting ano. We both have I have the antique brass, and he's got the antique copper, and that's a very different feel than just like my other one's a standard gray anodization, and that one feels amazing. So
yeah,
it feels amazing, looks amazing.
Yeah. Another thing I've noticed in the community is how far people are willing to go for something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you build like a really high-end custom board, let's say like a Matrix or something, or an OTD, people will buy. I've seen this before. People will buy like 5 cherry boards, like old school, like West Germany ones, and they'll harvest like and cherry pick all the vintage blacks in there just for one board. And I think that's insane because I think Gateron inks are great, but the sound is just not there. Like they're good, but it's just not there. But like just crazy. Like people are going that far just to get just a little bit better sound and feel. That's it.
They are looking for the end game only to be disappointed when the next high-end board that they want comes out and be like, oh, I want that.
Yeah.
So, well, I think it might be emote time. I don't know about you if you have any more questions. Well, we still have our 2 at the end.
Okay.
But we can do emote real quick. So I am looking. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I have 7 choices. Or we have 7 choices. So Pony Boy with if you guys haven't, here, let me type this in the chat. If you guys have not seen them, join our Discord. You can look at them. That's what I'm looking at right now. It's on the Twitch emote contest. So there's a picture of me with, I guess, sunglasses, even though they're just normal glasses. Osiris with a bunch of question marks around it. Buy a tester, which I love. Then Geo's don't buy a tester. A Mexon deck cap. A Mexon deck HHK, looks like a Rama board with the logo in it. And a what's supposed to say no 65, but to me kind of just looks like someone's like, yeah, 65%. I don't know if you know this, but I'm not a fan of 65% keyboards. I think that, in my opinion, either be a 60 or be a 75.
You know,
So.
I love 65%. So
So let's see. If you want to pick, I guess we can both pick one, or
well, I'm thinking Pony Boy definitely needs to win.
well, Pony Boy is going to get one of them. So Pony Boy, if you're in the chat, congrats. We'll hit you up. We'll talk to you. Get you with Zap. You'll get, because we have 4 now, so we'll probably use 2 of yours. We did hit our next sub goal, so definitely appreciate that. The next one though is a little different.
What are you thinking? I like the
buy a tester, and I like the 65%, the no 65%, and I'm torn because I know if I pick Kinnick, over Magic Gnome, people will riot.
Magic Gnome.
Kinnick has won like a solid 50% of our giveaways.
Just out of sheer luck. I'll leave it up to you. 65% or the no 65% of the buy switch tester.
You know, I'm gonna have to go with the no 65%.
There it is. So Magic Gnome, we'll hit you up. We'll talk to you in a little bit and get you with Zap. Magic Gnome, Pony Boy, thank you. We'll get those emotes. They will be live for our next stream. Congratulations. I know Magic Gnome was just talking about how he was having a hard time building a cable today. So that might come in handy.
But yeah. So back to it with Summit Cables here. So overall, we've talked a little bit about some things we don't like in the community, but overall, what is your favorite and least favorite thing in the community?
Least favorite is gatekeeping, and the most favorite's probably the crazy amount of nice people. There's so many nice people in this community. Every community will have bad people in it, regardless. And I don't think that's not the thing that really matters. It's more so about the good people. There's so many people who are supportive of each other. That's why a lot of these normal boards like Ducky and Corsair get upvoted so much, is because people can relate with it. There's a lot of people who just comment really supportive things. When I first got in the community, there's a lot of people who helped me out, steered me in the right direction on what to get, and I'm really thankful for the community for that.
Absolutely. I think we both Chewy and I feel the exact same way. It seems like the ratio in this community of good to bad is like so much skewed on the good side in this community compared to some other ones that we've been in. So it's like it's awesome to be able to kind of come in and once you find those good people, you invest in them and then they invest back in you. It's really awesome.
Yeah, of course. Every community will have like some bad people, like like the gatekeeping. Like, what if you go to like some sneaker convention, some like hype beast convention, you're rocking like this $500 shirt, and this guy's rocking like a $10,000 fit. Like, of course you're gonna look bad, and then people are gonna look at him more, and he might be different. But that happens in every community.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think to touch on that slightly is the community is very defensive of itself against those type of people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, I don't want to say witch hunt, but it's like, it's very like they'll jump down your throat if people start kind of doing the gatekeeping and doing all that. They'll get called out immediately.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that's something that should not be overlooked.
Well, there is like a gray line between gatekeeping. Like custom keyboards is really nice. Like the Reddit, when it first started out, I feel like they wouldn't allow like any boards there. Like, what is custom?
Mm-hmm.
You know, is custom a KBD 75? In my humble opinion, no. It's just my opinion. I think a KBD 75 is something that you can buy and it's super easy to build, super easy to attain, and I don't think that's custom. I feel like custom is something that is group buy, in my opinion.
I think. Or sorry, continue.
I love that Reddit. If you know, it's just kind of like where I'm at. You know, I got a lot of custom keyboards nowadays, and you know, they're the type of people I can relate to because they have the same knowledge of like what's good and what's bad in terms of like type feel and bad type feel. I guess like there is no really bad type feel. There's like type feel than just like a little bit better, because like the difference in type feel between like a QXP and Jane are completely different. Neither is better than the other. They're just different.
Yeah.
Now between a Jane V2 and a Matrix, I think the Matrix is much more superior. No offense to TGR or anything. I just think it's just a better feel overall.
And it's all preference.
It's all preference. Yes, it's 100% preference. I think the reason why I didn't like the Jane V2 that much is mostly because it was a brass plate. I really don't like brass plates that much. The new Jane I'm very excited for is a CF plate, and I feel like that's probably going to be maybe, if not better than the Matrix I have, because I really, really like the construction of the Jane V2 so much, and I'm really, really happy to get into the Jane V2 CE. Really, really happy because I really like CF and Alu, and it's just going to be an amazing board.
Yeah, and I think you know, like we said, it's preference, and I saw someone kind of to your point of you know, KBD is KBD custom. Someone I don't remember who said
That's a hard
it,
one.
but someone said the difference between KBD fans and something else is you spell custom with a K. And I know that you know, the Korean custom community and all that that's what that is. But that's how I've always kind of used, like, they're both customs, but one is obviously going to be something that's QC'd way more than something else. And you know, at the end of the day, yes, they are both custom keyboards, but at the how much quality control and design and innovation goes into it is what separates it from other things.
Another thing that someone in the chat said is like Korea, not China. I don't think region has nothing to do with quality of keyboards. I think if it's made in Korea or if it's made in China, they can be equally as better. As I don't know where TGR is made, but it's probably made in either place. I have no idea where his factory is. But I don't think factory place really matters. I think it's more so the designer and his wishes and what he wants to make. Because there's a lot of US designers who make keyboards just as good as anything else, in my humble opinion. It's just how I think is, you know.
Which, by the way, hello, Heine Bush. I don't think you've joined us yet in a stream before, but hit us up on Discord because we've been meaning to contact you.
Bobby Hill King. That's pretty funny.
God damn it, Bobby.
Yeah. So, last question, not keyboard related. Typically, what we end with: Office or Parks and Rec?
Office or Parks and Rec? Office?
The Office, yeah.
Yeah,
The Office. For sure.
Oof.
For sure. Who wouldn't like The Office?
I mean, it's not a which one do you. It's which one do you like more? Because I think most people
Office
enjoy
for sure.
them. Yeah,
Office for sure.
My man.
Office is winning. Office winning right now. I'm a Parks and Rec fan. IMO. I think while The Office can be at sometimes more.
I like Trailer Park Boys the most.
Okay.
Ooh.
Trailer Park Boys. Yeah.
Yeah, Trailer Park. That's I couldn't get I like that show in short bursts. So, but
not
I
a-
guess I also watch Letterkenny, which is like kind of similar idea of humor,
Yeah.
just but very different.
I haven't watched Letterkenny. I've watched a couple of Trailer Park Boys. Not my
Just thinking
jam.
about that show makes me laugh.
Not my jam.
What a weird show.
Yeah. I feel like the other show that I really loved that was like it's not even in the same style, but like is Eastbound and Down.
Eastbound and Down.
That was a good show.
I did watch a little bit of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I think that's a pretty good show
That's a
too.
solid show.
Yeah.
So
It was pretty funny.
So, well, thank you very, very much for joining us, Summit. If you guys haven't, if you want to type your Discord link or maybe just like do an invite link,
Yeah, sure.
you guys should really check out. I can vouch that the cables are top notch. I used it. The only reason I gave mine to Eric is because of a colorway and me not wanting coils, but they are top notch cables. He, as he said, does runs, or at least tries to, and most of the time successfully does runs every Saturday. So go out, support the homies.
No, thank you.
If you need
appreciate it.
a good cable, Summit's where to go.
Yeah,
But or sorry, what were you gonna say?
yeah, we really try our best to make sure that they're perfect. We really try hard. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
Well, it shows.
yeah, they're
Thank you.
pretty great. I must say.
So real quick, we're gonna shout out our sponsors before we head out. We did talk about Krelbit, and if you want to get that lube that is so easily accessible, you can go to switchmod.net/mexondeck, and you can get 4% off. Lube those switches lube those stabs because they feel great when you do. Zap cables. You can get yourself a DIY kit if you can't make it on the run. If you do have another run, he does have runs that are opening up more and more. And then Dixie Mech. I'm working that now. Dixie Mech. He's got 8008 right now, and show him some love today. Show him some love. Go show him some support. He's had a rough day, probably rougher than most other people today. Not trying to, tell people that you haven't had a bad day. You're entitled to have a bad day, but he has had probably not the best day of his keyboard.
Well, Dixie works really hard. That guy's a workhorse. That guy's I have a lot of respect for people who work a lot, and it really shows in Dixie. The reason I think why he's needs some love and upset is he really wanted that to go as smoothly and perfectly as possible. And there was a little hiccup, and I personally think it ended up just fine. I don't know too much about it. I just heard what I heard. But I think he did a really nice job.
Yeah.
For his first board, for sure, that's a nice job.
Yeah.
It's really hard to design a keyboard. Really hard.
So Heine Bush says bye, Violet on Cream.
Yeah. Violet on Cream.
Heine Bush, man, we'll get you on. We'll get you on for some brews and boards.
Yeah, there we go.
We'll have to like double not safe for children.
Yeah.
That stream.
I'm down.
So,
but no, we appreciate everyone coming out, and yes, we know that it was not Dixie's fault. Shopify just they could not handle the Bower. That's
Scuffed.
what I'm going.
Scuffed.
They
Scuffed
just couldn't handle the Bower. It's I think it was something like seconds was when it was like 20 seconds or something was how long it was up. It was
20 seconds, and it had 90 or 90, however many 96 orders or whatever.
Well, no, I think the 20 seconds for the first 20.
Oh, okay.
46 seconds official solid.
Jeez, 46 seconds. That's 2 boards a second. That's funny.
That's crazy. Wow.
Raid I am Eru after this.
I am me, you are you. That's how that's said.
Okay.
Yeah.
I am me, you are you. Dude, man, once again, real quick. Did I miss anybody? Sir Captain Salty. That one's an easy one. Man, I can't read names. Yeah, we'll get the raid going. I'll set that up if you want me to.
Sure. But yeah, we definitely appreciate everyone coming out. We'll be back again next Wednesday. We might be Tuesday as well for a build, I believe. I think it'll actually be me this time.
I've got to lube those switches unless you want to lube those switches.
I can lube the switches. I'll be building a KBD 75, I think.
Yeah, it'll be a KBD 70. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. But yeah, next Tuesday at 8 p.m. Central, and then Wednesday, 8 p.m. Central as well. Check us out on Discord and in YouTube. We appreciate y'all stopping by. Thanks again to Summit Cables.
Yeah, go check out Summit Cables. Buy yourself a switch tester. It's that easy.
What? What?
Boom, and I hit raid. Except it's